So I wanted to kind of talk about what's been going on, how the weekend was, the project. So just to do kind of a quick recap, obviously last week I sent out that big scary email about the mid-mark notices and things. So I would definitely ask everybody to please make sure you're getting your work in. And I would say probably on right now, only one of you submitted your Safe2Say project. So that was due last night. I cannot stress how important, that's a big project. It's a big deal. So you really need to get that in as soon as humanly possible, because guess what? Today we're starting a new project. Okay. So please don't let these pile up on you, because it's just going to get more and more difficult for you if you can't get the projects done. And like I said, this week's going to be a real test, because it's going to be really nice out. It's going to be really warm out. And then eventually, spring break's coming up in a few weeks. And then after that, it's a fourth marking period. So I would probably say between now and spring break is going to be your best opportunity to try and get work done. I cannot stress that enough, because look, I've been teaching for 14 years. I know when fourth marking period gets here and it's nice out, not going to be seeing much of everybody. I hope so, but with the weather being nice, it's definitely going to motivate people to get outside, which is great. It's nice out, but please try and get your work done. So I don't want to, and I sent an email this morning, obviously, but I don't want to send out another email like that in the fourth market period. I know I will. I hope I just don't have to send it out to as many people. So please try to dig into this work. Actually, I know things are in the works right now to get many of you, hopefully get as many students as possible back into school after spring break. So if you want to come back to school and you just don't want to sit around on the computer doing the work that you should have done while you were at home, please get it done now. If you're lucky enough to end up back in school next month, I'd hate for you to just have to sit there all day and be on a computer, doing all the projects you should have done earlier. So please try and get that stuff done, because eventually you will meet me in person and I will sit there and go, where's all your work? Why didn't you do all your work? So please try and get ahead of that. If you're not sure what you need to have done, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get, if you're like, what do I need to do? What do I have to work on? It's very easy. You go on your Schoology page under grades, shows you what your grade is, obviously, but it'll show you all the projects that you can still hand in. But let's jump. Does anybody have questions before I move on to the project? Okay. So I am going to pop on here right now. So I took a little bit of time to think about how I give out projects. And I think what's kind of going on right now with that Safe2Say project is maybe some of you thought it was too complicated. There was too much stuff given out. Personally, I don't think so. All I was asking you to do was a poster and then a social media template, but everybody kind of lost their mind over the social media template. So at the very least, please send out the poster. A poster is easy to do. And then you can do the whole Safe2Say thing in there. Did anybody struggle with any particular thing in the Safe2Say? Anybody that's on here right now that would like to actually speak up and say something? Or put it in the chat. Come on, people. I know it's Monday, but let's generate some conversation here. And so nobody seems to have any problems with my projects. It's just
I haven't even started it.
that's okay, Imani. I know that you and I spoke about it, but
Just what are we doing for this project?
well, I'll tell you in a second. I want to talk about the previous project. See, the problem becomes is I'm putting all these projects out, but not a whole ton of people are putting them, submitting them in and putting the effort in to get the stuff done. So I guess I'm trying to understand if there's anything that I could do. I put in the survey, not a lot of people filled that out, but if there's anything I can do to kind of make things a little more clear, a little bit more easy, let me know. But I think what I've done with this new project, it's one page. It's a pretty cut and dry project. There's a new exploratory. And then, I will once again put in many activities like watch this video, do that, do this, do that, just to help you get those points on. So without any further ado, I will share my screen with you real quick. So the first thing I want to do is let's talk about something simple right now. So I'm going to share the new exploratory with everybody. Okay. Let me just set up my screen real quick to make sure anybody else decides to pop in. There's the chat. Okay. And there's participants. Okay. All right. So the exploratory is pretty simple. We didn't do one last time because I felt like everybody could have used a little bit of a break from it. But if you scroll down here and take a look, the latest project is shooting patterns. Okay. Now, patterns may sound, like a difficult thing to do. It's not. If you take a look around your house, take a look around outside, you see patterns in everyday life. Now, for this assignment, I want you to photograph patterns. Now, they can be one of two things. They can be patterns that you find, or they can be patterns that you create. Hey, Jamil, how you doing? So for this exploratory, you're going to create patterns. As you can see here, here's a bunch of pasta. And that creates a pattern, obviously. You can find, here's a collage I made earlier today that just show found patterns. Okay. Most of these are, things you don't necessarily think about. And then once you start saying, once you have that focus and I say, look, I want you to go shoot this. So now you start to kind of see these patterns in everyday life. There's a whole bunch of stuff right here that you can kind of think of. You can create your own. If you want to get a bunch of candy and create a pattern, create a pattern. If you got cookies or crackers laying around, make a pattern. If you have 15 pairs of shoes, line them all up and create a pattern of shoes. So it's nothing overly difficult to do. You can get 10 pens and lay them out, but once again, why do we do this? We do this to be creative. And it's challenging because you have 50 other students in this class right now, and you're going to say to yourself, well, everybody's probably going to go, and the first thing they're going to do is grab a box of cereal and make patterns with it. So you need to really say to yourself, how is my work going to be different than theirs? Because honestly, some of you on this class right now may actually be someday interviewing for the same school or the same job. So when it comes right down to it, they're going to look at your portfolio, right? And your portfolio is this collection of all of your work. And they're going to look and say, man, a lot of these all look the same. How is your stuff going to stand out? How is your stuff going to look different from everybody else's? Okay. So take your time, take a look around and see what kind of patterns you can find in everyday life, in your house, outside, even if you are attending school, you can go and look for, a row of lockers. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can come up with. But, like I've said before, the one thing you don't want to do is just take 5 pictures and be done with it. You want to kind of explore your creativity. Really, it's always great to have more pictures to choose from than not a lot. So, get out there. You could get 1 box of cereal and go and make 15 different patterns with it. Well, which one looks the best? What cereal looks the best? Could you get Lucky Charms and then line up the cereal on the table by marshmallow, or by the whatever the other part is that doesn't taste good? The marshmallows are the best. But you can, you could go and make fun patterns and shapes and things like that. You could go in the drawer and grab plates and knives and forks, but make sure you put all that stuff back. Toothpicks, there's a lot of different things that you can choose from. Okay. Everybody understand that one? Pretty simple stuff. It's not overly complicated, but really the challenge is your creativity. What can you grab? Can you grab a handful of change? Do you have anything interesting in the house that maybe other people don't, like a coin or a stamp collection or something like that? Do you have colored paper clips laying around? So take the time to really think about it. And then, just go from there, see what you can come up with. Okay. So now I'm going to jump over to the big project. Now, the big project, I personally kind of like it. I was thinking about it over the weekend. I was talking with my son, just about music in general. We like a lot of the same music. He's a high school senior, like maybe some of you, and he loves music. And the cool thing is he loves a lot of the same music that I do. So I said, what are some of your favorite songs? And we were going back and forth. He's a rock and roll guy, just like me, likes Nirvana, Green Day, a lot of the older stuff, Van Halen. So I said, well, if you had to pick like your favorite soundtrack, what would it be? So we started going through the list, and I said, oh, that's kind of cool, because when he was telling me about the songs, they really reflected his personality. And I thought, hey, that would be kind of a great idea for everybody here to design their own album cover based on the soundtrack of your life. Okay. So what would that possibly mean? Well, if you scroll down here, I would like for everybody to pick 10 songs that you love, that describe you as a person and your life and your hobbies and your interests. And when I listen to that album, I could say, wow, I'm really getting to know, who Jamil is, who Deshauna is, who Steven is. The song, you could find a song about sports if you love sports. If you could play a song about competition because you love playing games. You could do songs about sadness. Maybe you went through a rough patch in your life, and that song really kind of signifies what you went through at that time. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, really think about it, lay these songs out. Don't pick songs just because they're a favorite song. If you're going to pick a rap song about, drinking all the time, I hope you don't, but I would try to find songs that describe you, not them and their lifestyle and all the things that they've accomplished, but it's more songs that reflect you and your personality and who you are as a person. And I just grabbed a couple of random covers just to give you an idea. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, but for those of you that maybe haven't seen an album before, this is a really cool collage, because what you're going to end up doing is I would like for you to make a collage of the 10 artists that you've chosen and your picture. You need one picture of yourself on the front in the center, because it's about you, right? So you want to be able to have you in the center, and Jay-Z up here, Beyonce down there, Justin Bieber over here, Taylor Swift over there. It doesn't really matter, but you want to have this collaboration of you in the center, because why? That's the focal point. That is the center. You're the center of attention. This is your soundtrack. Is everybody following me so far? Okay, cool. So really, you're going to pick those 10 songs, and you're going to they have to be square, because albums are square. You're going to make an album front, and you're going to have a title. Okay. Now, I don't want it to be Deshauna's Greatest Hits or Deshauna, This Is My Life. Try to come up with something interesting. Because if you remember the last project, what did we do? We did a poster, we did a slogan. This kind of carries on a little bit farther, where it gives you an opportunity to dig into your personal life and your songs and your music and what you like, and take the stuff you just learned and now make something cool out of it. Because guess what? In your portfolio, nobody's going to have this. This is yours. This is you, with your music and your songs and your picture. So it's a great kind of way to stand out. And you're just doing a front and back. And then what I would like for you to do, so when you see this pink part, this is the specific instructions on what you need to follow. Has everybody got that? So when you go to do this project, you're going to look at that. Okay. And those are the most important critical things that you need to follow. Because like I've said before, in this industry, you got to follow directions. It's super duper important. Is anybody starting to kind of get some ideas in their head right now? Yeah. So this is, do you remember what this is? What is this? What did we talk about? What's the first thing we're doing right now in our heads?
Figuring out what 10 songs we're going to use.
Okay. So what is that thing that we do when we try to come up with ideas? What's it called? There's a technical word. Might be in a quiz. Go ahead, Steve.
Brainstorming.
You are correct.
Sure.
You are correct. He beat you to it, Steve. But yes, we're brainstorming. We're coming up with ideas. Maybe we're getting a pencil and paper and we're writing just songs, or artists say, oh, I love Billie Eilish. Well, what's my favorite song from her that describes me as a person? Or you know what I mean? Or what are songs do I want? What is the theme of my album? Is it inspirational? Is it happy? Is it sad? You know what I mean? I would hope it could be a little bit of everything. It could be the evolution of you as a person. Maybe it's your favorite song that your parents used to play when you were a little kid. or your aunt or your uncle or your friend. And, and then when you became 10 or 11 years old, what's that one song that you sang all the time during the summer with your friends that reminded you of that time period? And what's the song right now that describes you as a person? So, there's a really cool opportunity here to really look at yourself and dig into this project and say, I want to make something really cool and really meaningful with it. I'm actually I'm gonna make one too, because I have to create the YouTube tutorials to show you how to do it. I'm gonna work on that tomorrow. And I'll get those out to you tomorrow but today I really just want you to brainstorm and think of some ideas. And also, obviously you can't go and just take a photograph of Jay-Z. So you can spend some time today, create a folder on your computer and call it album project and start dragging pictures over of your favorite artists. But make sure you lay them out in such a way, if everybody's facing this direction, well, you're probably going to want to get some where you can really flip them and move them and fit them in there, because it's a lot. You think about it, there's going to be 11 pictures, plus the 10 artists. Now, granted, you may have 3 songs from Green Day, so you don't have to put 3 songs from Green Day on there. I would hope that it's diverse. I don't want 5 songs from Jay-Z and 5 songs from Beyonce. It's not going to work. And no offense, you kind of get lazy and you're just going to throw 2 pictures on the front. So really kind of take some time and document this and see what you're going to do. Now, I did provide you with some pretty cool resources on here. I did not set up the tutorials yet, but obviously I set the link up. So I found some really cool resources, like on the top 10 album covers of all time from Rolling Stone magazine. So there's some really good ones in here, and I'll show you the first one. And there's some really good ones in here. And you're saying to yourself, wow, Yellow Banana, who cares? There's a reason why the album was done that way. So read about it. Okay. There's a little bit to it. Okay. Pink Floyd, one of my favorite bands back then. Some pretty cool stuff. I also gave you one, the 100 greatest album covers of all time. Now you can also do your own research and see what's out there. You could go and say best 100 rap albums of all time, best 25 country song or albums of all time. So if you're trying to really get specific with stuff, if you're picking one particular genre, you could even pick, like I said, your album can have a country song, a rap song, a rock song, a classical song. It doesn't matter. You don't have to stick with the same genre through the whole entire thing. But there's a ton of great stuff on here that explains, what these albums are, why they were made. There's a little paragraph behind it. But if you want to sit through, there's 100 of them on here. But there's a lot of great stuff. Okay. And you can even go and put in, that parental advisory. There's some cool things you can put. I asked people to put that on there too. You can make it look more realistic, put a price tag on it, the explicit lyric logo on there. But don't forget, you're going to need to work with type. Okay. So we're going to work on, I'm going to actually do a lecture this week based on type and composition on how you're going to piece this whole thing together, because typography is a really, really big deal. And a lot of albums, and we talked about, type can make or break a design. And, we'll keep going through these images, but there's a lot of cool stuff in here. There's another good album. A lot of these are all, classically drawn, painted, but some of them are really cool. Just to go in and look in and get some really cool ideas. Now, if you want to go nuts and you like to draw and you want to do a hand-drawn element to it, you can draw and take a photo and scan it in with your phone and then put that in your album. I really don't care what you do. I just hope that it reflects who you are as a person and what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. So there's a lot of great stuff in here. I know a lot of these albums, some you may have never heard of. And maybe you might want to go on and say, wow, usually the greatest albums of all time are usually really good songs on there. So go in and search for Marvin Gaye. He's got some awesome songs. And you might end up liking a new artist all of a sudden. It's all about exploring and finding cool stuff. Now, here's a really gross looking album. Now, the Beatles made this album back in I think it was 68 or 69. And a lot of people were upset. Now, imagine 1968, 69 is 50 years ago, right? What do you think happened when they saw this album, people? Come on, everybody, speak up.
They did not want to listen to that song.
Yeah. So, Amani, do you think this album is worth anything?
I don't know.
All right, well, let me add to this. So when they found out that people were in an uproar over it, they actually destroyed most of the album covers and printed new ones, or they made a new decal and put it over top. So now that I ask you, Elijah, do you think it's worth money, the album cover? You better be awake, Elijah.
Yes.
See, this is how I can tell when people are paying attention or not. What about you, Malaysia?
No, it's not worth it.
Okay. Well, guess what? So because it was such a rare album cover, because they destroyed so many of them, and there's only a handful in existence, the album sells for about $100,000. Pretty crazy. But it's the fact that it's the Beatles too, and it was a very controversial cover. And it is, if you were to go on to, let's just see. And they actually call it the Butcher album cover, because they had went to a local deli and got all these pieces of meat. But in November 14th in 2020, what did it go for? Opening bid, $10,000. That's pretty crazy. So when it was done, it went for well over $100,000 for this album. So I just like to throw little kind of interesting things in there, but just tidbits of information. But because I learned that doing the research for this project. So
Wait, how does the album cover relate to the actual song?
That's the funny part. It had nothing to do with anything. So they did it for shock value. Now, which guess what? Mission accomplished, right? And back then in the 60s, 70s, people were just getting into shock value to get people's attention. Because guess what? Back then, where did you go and look at records? The record store. That's it. You didn't, you heard it on the radio. So imagine going to this record store, and how do you capture somebody's attention at a record store? You got to design a really cool album. Yeah. It's funny because back in the day, I would go to the record store and they would have headphones, and whatever album was hooked up, you would go and listen to it, or you would ask somebody, can I listen to this record? You couldn't just, I hate to sound old, no internet, there's nothing. The only way you could hear music is if you heard it on the radio, and if you were lucky enough and you had a tape player, you could record your songs off the radio. But you would have to go to the record store. Now imagine tens of thousands of records. How does that capture your attention? I shop based on visual because I'm an artist. I'm a visual person. I'll go to the food store and go, I really like these chips. I like the design of the package. All of this stuff is planned. The same thing when you buy your clothes, or your sporting goods, your equipment, anything. It's all predetermined that you're going to look at this stuff and they got to grab your attention. Okay. So think of that, when you're making your album cover. But like I said, everything is here that you need. And I will be posting it on Schoology today. So I will send you links on Schoology with the assignment, what needs to get done. And you can actually just go to the classroom website right now, and on the home page it says current projects. As soon as you click on that, it'll take you right to that project. And obviously you can go on the exploratory link and the new assignments on there. But since it's 1:30, I'll post it as soon as I get done, because after this discussion, I'm gonna upload that to the internet too, on the YouTube channel. And then we'll just go from there. So I don't know. What do you think? I think it sounds like a pretty cool project. It'll give you some time to think about yourself, who you are, what you like, what you do, and come up with a cool album. The only thing that I'm going to ask when you're done is when you go to upload your submission, I'm going to ask you to write a 1-page paper on those 10 songs and why you chose them. Okay. That's not a whole lot of work. I mean, each song, you maybe 2 or 3 sentences for each one, but it's not just about creating it. I want to understand why. Why did you choose those songs? And guess what? Writing is a big deal in this program. Writing scripts, writing out ideas, doing design work. You have to be a pretty competent, confident writer to be able to do this stuff. Because people are going to ask you why. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? So you're gonna write a 1-page paper, and that's going to be a pretty big part of your grade because a lot of people like to skip over that stuff. But it's not just about making stuff, it's why. Why is it important to you? Okay. So that's what I had for today. Does anybody, while we're online right now, have any questions, comments, or anything like that about anything? Yes, no, maybe so? No? You just all want to get off and go away? And
Oh wait, for the photo collage, do we have to do that on Photoshop?
So on the assignment page, you can use Photoshop, Google Draw, Microsoft, PowerPoint. I don't care. As long as you can create some kind of collage. There's actually a free Photoshop program out there called GIMP, G-I-M-P. And it is like a Photoshop program, and it's awesome and it's free. So if you don't have a laptop, you can also download that program called GIMP, and it does a lot of cool photo stuff. Okay. But I'll tell you right now, pretty much everybody but the Shauna, you still owe me that project from 2 weeks ago, right? Let's all get a bunch of head nods going. You all owe me a project and you need to get it done, right, Josh? Yeah. Okay, right, Jamil? Before I see you in 2 days, or hopefully, or I'm sorry, not in 2 days, before I see everybody after spring break. You all need to get this stuff done. I kid you not. Malaysia, you still owe me the project too. So everybody needs to go as soon as you get off this computer right now and get that Safe2Say project done. It's called Safe2Say. Now, if you're asking me right now, which you are, you're texting me, which project, that means you got some problems because you really should know what you're supposed to be working on right now. So I will tell everybody this. If you go into Schoology and you go to your page and you click on grades, it will show you what your current grade is and all the projects that are due. Some of you still didn't do the 30-second commercial.
I sent that into you like today.
Oh, awesome.
You talking
My
about the poster,
apologies.
right?
Yeah, what's that?
The poster?
Yes. So
Yeah,
my
I just sent that
apologies.
in.
I'm glad. Thank you very much. When I got on this morning, I got on there like 9 o'clock this morning and I saw no submission. So if you do get them done, great. Please get them done. These will not be forgotten. And as you can see, we're moving on to the next project. So if I don't see your projects, guess what? I got to email and call your parents again. So please get your stuff out. I'm actually doing a parent video today, parent guardian video, telling them everything we just talked about today and what projects you still owe. Okay. So please get the stuff done so we can just keep moving on and work our butts off till spring break. And then you can actually be like, oh, spring break's awesome. I deserve it because I worked so hard. This is great. Thanks, Mr. McCarthy. Okay. That's it for today. If you need me, you know where I am. Monday through Thursday from 1:45 to 2:30, office hours. It's at the bottom of my email. It says office hours. Click here. Okay. So thank you, everyone. I do appreciate you popping in today. I hope you embrace and enjoy this assignment and good luck. And let me know if you need anything. Okay.